Hi guys, good morning. Online students, am I audible?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. In the last
Yes, sir.
session, we discussed about what is documentation of the REST API. REST API means provider application will be available and consumer application will be available. When the provider is developed, then provider should give the documentation to consumer. If a provider is not giving the documentation to the consumer, how consumer will understand the provider information, right? Now here, whenever we are developing our application, provider should give documentation to the consumer. How the provider will give documentation to the consumer? Provider will give documentation to the consumer in the form of Swagger. So by using Swagger, provider will give documentation to consumer so that consumer will understand what is available in the provider, what is URL of the provider, how to access provider, what data provider is expecting, what data provider is giving, in which format it is expecting input, in which format it is giving output. All that information we can get by using Swagger. With the Swagger documentation, consumer will know provider information. Then how to add Swagger to our project? In order to add Swagger to our project, we need to add this dependency in the pom.xml. When you add this dependency in the pom.xml, when we add this dependency in the pom.xml, Swagger documentation will be available in the JSON format as well as in the UI format. Swagger UI we can use to test our application also. Provider can be tested by using Swagger. Okay. Now here we are going to understand one project by using REST API. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to develop IRCTC application which will take passenger data as a input, as a request payload, and it will provide ticket data as a response payload. So IRCTC API I want to develop. For this IRCTC API, input will be available and output will be available. So the input is passenger information and the output is ticket information. Okay. Passenger data is input for IRCTC. Ticket data is output from the IRCTC. I want to develop this API. Once this API development is completed, I will deploy this API in the AWS cloud so that everybody can access this API. Everybody can access this API. Then after, once this API is ready, then we will go and develop our Make My Trip application as a consumer application. IRCTC API, which contains logic to book the ticket. Once the ticket booking is completed, then we will deploy this application in the AWS cloud platform so that everybody can access that application. Once that is ready, then we will learn how to develop consumer application with user interface, how consumer application can communicate with the provider application. Are you able to follow me? Good. Now, I want to start IRCTC API development. IRCTC API development. Now, so here guys, in this IRCTC API, what we need to develop is, first one, we need to develop one method to book the ticket. Okay. Book ticket functionality is available. Then get all tickets functionality is available. One method I will write to book the ticket, and another method I will write to get all the tickets which we have booked in our application. Okay. Book ticket and get all tickets functionality will be available. When you want to develop any REST API, the first step is what is our requirement. Let's understand the requirement. So our requirement is booking the ticket for the passenger. Then passenger will get all the tickets which we have booked. So in order to develop this API, first step, the first step that we need to do is identify request structure. Identify request structure and create binding for that. Okay, so what data you will get in the request? To map that request data, we need to create one binding class. Then step 2, identify response structure. What is input for your API? What is output from your API? So create request binding class and create response binding class. Identify response structure and create binding class. Create binding class. So here request is what, guys? What we are going to get in the request? Request we will get passenger information. In the response we need to send ticket information. Okay, what data you need from the passenger to book the data? I'm going to take name of the passenger, email of the passenger, journey date, date of journey. Okay, then from address to address and train number. Okay, so this information we need from the passenger to book the ticket. So this data, IRCTC will expect this data in the JSON format. To map that JSON data to Java object, we need to create one binding class. So we need to create one passenger class with these variables to map our request. Coming to ticket information. So what will be there? Ticket number will be available. Ticket number will be available. Then booking date will be available. Then what is the name? Date of journey, from, to, train number. Okay, status extra, I'm giving the status here. Ticket is confirmed or ticket is waiting for that. So some status that we are going to specify. So this is the data that we are expecting as input from the passenger. This is the data we are giving as a response to the client. So if you want to develop IRCTC, any REST API, first you need to identify what is our requirement. Okay, book the ticket. To book the ticket, we are going to create one post request method because passenger data we need to get. So to get the data, we are using post request method. Now here, get all tickets. This one we are going to map to get request method. Post to book the ticket, get to get all the tickets. One post method, one get method. And before going to develop, the very first step you need to do, identify what is your request for your API, what request you are expecting for your API, what response you need to give to the API. I want passenger data as a request. So I need this information from the passenger and I want to give ticket data as a response to the client. So this data I'm going to provide as a response. Good. So with this knowledge, with this information, we can start our REST API development. Okay. Go and create one project, file new, starter project. Here 22 application IRCTC API. IRCTC API, jar file, click on next, web starter, dev tools. I'm not using any database and all that stuff, guys. It will take your passenger data. It will give you ticket data. Why I am not using database is, if I use a MySQL, I cannot deploy in the Linux machine because MySQL is available in my system. In the cloud machine, that MySQL database will not be available. If you want, you can use H2 database for that, but not required now. Click on next, click on finish. My API is getting created. We have used web starter for this. Yep. IRCTC API got created. Go to pom.xml. Go to pom.xml. So this is created. Web starter, dev tools available. Along with this, for this application, I want to use a Swagger. So let us add Swagger documentation dependency so that consumers can easily understand how is my provider, what is input for the provider, what is output for the provider. Okay, I have added one dependency here. Next one, the very first step, as we discussed, we need to create request class and we need to create response class. Now I'm creating one package called bindings. In the bindings, I'm taking passenger and I'm taking ticket classes. One class name I'm taking as passenger, another class name I'm taking as ticket. These are used to represent JSON data in the form of object. Now, inside the passenger, let us take private string name, private string email, then private string from, private string to, then private string some date of journey, private string some train number, something like this. These are the variables I'm taking. To map the data to these variables, we need some setters and getters. Okay, so I'm taking setters and getters for these variables. Same variables I need in the ticket also. What is extra? Status will be extra, private string status. Okay, now ticket number will be available, private string the ticket number, something like this, right? Or else you can take the ticket number as some integer also. You can take the ticket number as a integer also. Perfect. Now, so let me generate setters and getters for these variables. So with this, our request binding class is ready and our response binding class is also ready. Let me create one service, new class service. Now I'm taking one service with a name called ticket service. Okay, let's take this as an interface also, no problem. I'm taking one service here. What operations we need to perform in this API? Two operations we need to perform. One is booking the ticket, another one is getting the ticket booking and getting the ticket also. So here we are going to write the method. One is public ticket book ticket, book ticket. For this I'm expecting passenger data as a input. So my method is taking, whenever you book the ticket, you will get your ticket data immediately as a response. Okay, so the method is taking passenger object as a input, ticket as a return type. Then I will write one more method, public list of tickets, get all tickets, get all tickets. Two methods I'm writing. One is book ticket method, which is taking passenger data as a input. If I want to book the ticket, I need passenger data. After booking the ticket, I will give your ticket object as a response for you. Then another method to get all the tickets. I don't need any input for this method, but I will give all the tickets as a output for you. This is my service interface. Okay, let us create IMPL class for this one. New class ticket service IMPL. It is going to implement that interface that we have created, which is ticket service. Click on OK and finish. Now let's represent this is a Spring Bean by using @service annotation. Now in order to store the tickets, guys, I'm going to use one map as a database. Actual database is not available, so I'm going to use one map here. So let me take one map, key as a integer, value as a ticket, map is equal to new hash map. So what is the purpose of this map here? What is the purpose of map? To store our tickets here. Okay, now map is available. So what we need to do, whenever this method is called, what I'm going to do is I will create ticket T is equal to new ticket. Ticket T is equal to new ticket. Now I want to get some random number, random dot random R is equal to new random R dot next int. Okay, some ID I am going to get T dot set ticket number. C dot set ticket number. I'm setting that ID. So I'm going to get one ID. That ID I'm setting as a random number. Okay. Now, after this, whatever the data is available in the passenger, I will copy that data to ticket object also by using beanutils dot copy properties. Source is passenger and target is ticket, and T dot set status. I will say that your ticket is confirmed by default. Then I'm going to return ticket as a output. Before going to return this ticket, I will store map dot put the ticket ID comma ticket object. Just I am maintaining all the tickets in the map concept. Some dummy logic, right? So whenever you call this book ticket method, we are taking passenger data as a parameter. So when you book the ticket, passenger data will come as the input for this method. In this method, we are creating object for the ticket. I need to set some ID for the ticket. If I am inserting in the database, ID will be a primary key, will be auto generated. But I am not inserting in the database. That's why I'm taking one random number. I'm setting that as a ticket ID. Then I'm using copy properties method. What is the purpose of this copy properties? Whatever the data coming in the passenger object, I want to copy the same data to the ticket object. Why? Because whatever the data coming in the passenger, same data I need to send in the ticket also. Additional ID is available, status is available. ID I am taking as a random number, status I am taking as a confirmed. Then after I'm storing that ticket object into my map concept. Map.put key comma value. Ticket ID is a key, ticket data is the value. Then I am returning my ticket object here. Oh, okay. So this is used to book the ticket. Whatever the tickets are booked, all the tickets will be available in the map. This map we can call as our DB. Why I am not using actual database here? This application I will deploy in the cloud platform. There our database is not available. That is the reason I'm taking map as a database here. The next one, get all tickets. What is the functionality of get all tickets here, guys? What is the functionality of get all tickets? Map dot values. DB is available, right? All the values I want to get from the map, and I'm going to return all the tickets here. DB dot values. Okay. So DB dot values will return collection of ticket. Okay. Instead of list, we can take collection. All the list of records we are returning from here. When you call get tickets method, it will take all the tickets which are available and it is going to return all those tickets. Now, get tickets means return db.values. What is the meaning of db.values? It will return all the values which are available. Okay, good, fine. So look at this service implementation. I have taken one class called passenger, which is used to represent API request data. IRCTC API will get the request from Make My Trip with the passenger data. To map that passenger data, I'm taking a passenger class. IRCTC should give ticket to the Make My Trip as a response. To represent that response, I'm taking ticket class. What functionalities we need to develop? I'm declaring one interface with those methods. One is to book the ticket, another one is to get all the tickets. To book the ticket, I'm taking passenger data as an input and I am providing ticket data as a output. Passenger data as a input, ticket data I am providing as a output. Perfect. Next one. I'm implementing those methods, guys. One is book ticket method, another one is get all tickets method. Here I am using one map. What is the purpose of the map? To store the data in the form of key and value. As we are not using database to store the data, I'm using map here to store the data in the form of key and value. Ticket ID will be my key, ticket object will be my value. So whenever we call book ticket method, it will create the ticket data, it will store in the map. Whenever you call get all tickets, it will return all the tickets which are available in the map. Are you able to understand this? Fine. So with this, our request class, response class, service is also ready. What is the final step? REST controller. We need to create one REST controller which will act as a distributed component. Okay. Now REST. So let me create this as ticket REST controller. Ticket REST controller. Okay. Go here. How to make it as a REST controller? By using at the rate REST controller annotation. Using at the rate REST controller annotation. This REST controller should talk to service to execute the business logic. REST controller will take the request, will give the response. But where is the business logic? In the service layer. How to call REST service from controller? Inject private ticket service. Private ticket service. You can inject your service object here. How to inject that service? By using auto wiring. What methods we need to write now? Two methods we need to write. One is used to handle post request to book the ticket. Another one is to handle get request to get all the tickets. Okay, let me write public response entity. Why we need to use response entity? Why we need to use response entity, guys? Come on. I want to set the custom status. I want to set the custom status. Okay. Public response entity. I want to send ticket data as a response book ticket. What I am expecting as a input? Passenger data I'm expecting as a input. Now call service method. Service dot book ticket with the passenger data. It is giving ticket data as a response. Then return new response entity. What data we are sending in the response body? We are sending ticket data, then http status dot created. http status dot created. This is my REST API method which is used to book the ticket. Now this method should be mapped to get request or post request. Post request. Why we need to map to post request? It is used to create the ticket, guys. How this passenger data we are going to get? From where we need to get this data? JSON data. So this is coming in the request body. Let us take this annotation called request body. So now consumer application will send post request with the passenger data in the request body. Then provider application will book the ticket, will send ticket data in the response with the 201 as a status code. Are you able to follow me? Consumer will send post request to the provider with the passenger data in the request body. Okay. Are you guys able to understand? Look at this method. Guys, here, when I'm taking the book ticket method, I can take a string also as a response. What is the meaning of that? Once the ticket is created, I can simply say a message, your ticket is created. So anything is fine. You can take string as a return type, but here what I am doing is, once the ticket is created, I'm sending your ticket data back as a response. Anything is fine. Are you clear with this method? Yes. What this method is doing? It is taking passenger data in the request body and it is giving ticket data in the response body. That's it. Next, let's write one more method. Public response entity list of what we are providing as a response. List of tickets. Now we are writing get tickets. Any input required for the method? No. It is providing only output. How to provide that output? First, we need to call service dot get all tickets. What it is returning? Collection of tickets. So return type also will take collection of tickets. Collection of tickets. How to construct this response? Return new response entity. What is the body? All tickets. What is the status code? HTTP status dot okay. Okay. Now this method should be mapped to which request? It should be mapped to get request. What is the URL pattern? Slash tickets. We are mapping to slash tickets here. Correct. So with this, our IRCTC API is ready. REST controller. REST controller is talking to service. Inside the REST controller, two methods available as we discussed. One method is used to book the ticket, which is your post request method. Now, for this post request method, I'm taking input as a passenger data, output as a ticket data. Okay. Another one is get all tickets, which is a get request method. For this method, input is not applicable. Output is all tickets. All tickets data, right? So we need to develop one IRCTC REST API development. IRCTC is used to book the train tickets. So to book these train tickets, I'm taking two methods. One is used to book the ticket. Another one is used to get the ticket. So to book the ticket, I'm going to use post request method. To get the tickets, I'm using get request method. Here input we are giving as passenger data. Output we are giving as ticket data. When you go for get all tickets, it is a get request method. For this method, input is not available. This method is providing only output, get tickets data. Now, step 1, identify the request structure and create request binding class. That is our passenger object. Okay. Now, next one, identify response structure and create response binding class. Our response is a ticket. Now, so here identify request structure and create request binding class. Identify response structure and create response binding class. Perfect. Then after we developed our application, REST API we have created. Now to test this REST API, I have given Swagger also. Can we test it now? Debug as boot application. I'm going to debug this application, right? Breakpoint I have added. I have started this project in the debug mode. Clear the console. Go to browser. Localhost colon 8080 slash swagger-ui.html. Now I'm able to get the Swagger documentation. What this Swagger is telling, guys? This is the URL of your application. And what is this one? We have one post method. Another one is one get method. If I go for the post method, here it is saying that, boss, in the post request, you need to send JSON data in the request body. And what is the structure of the request? This is the structure of the request. You need to send post request with JSON data in this format. But if I go for Postman, will they provide this information? No, you need to type everything in the Postman. Swagger is very advanced tool to test your REST APIs, guys. A beautiful user interface is available and it is providing the information about your API as well. Am I writing any consumes and produces here? No, by default, what it is taking? JSON. So input is JSON. If I go for get tickets, what it is saying? Media type, response. How you are going to get the response? Response we are getting in this format. Okay. Can we test our postman? Can we test our post request now? Can we test our post request now? Swagger-UI/index.html. So with this, I'm able to access my API. With this, I'm able to access my API. Good. Get post request, try it out. So they are giving request body structure, name, some value, email, from address, date of journey, some value, train number, some value. Okay. Now click on execute. I'm sending a request. I have a breakpoint in my REST API. So I'm getting the request. Can you see P here? Yes. Am I able to get the JSON data into my object? Who is converting that JSON data to Java object, guys? Now see, in the Swagger, I'm sending the data in the JSON. But when it comes to the REST controller, the data is available in the form of object. That means JSON data converted to Java object by using Jackson API. Now go inside service method, ticket object, random, next enter. What is the ticket ID? Oh, very big number is coming here, guys. It's not good. Let's change that. Ticket got booked, guys. We are able to book the ticket. We got the ticket number also. But what is the ticket number is coming? Very big number, negative number is coming as a ticket number. Let's change this to some thousand. Random R is equal to new random. Let me give something like this. Run as boot app. Application started, then execute. We got the ticket. No, we are getting a negative number. Ticket service IMPL. Random is equal to new random. Random dot next int. Go inside this. Yeah. Now I'm getting the ticket ID as something like 15. Okay. Now I'm copying the properties. As of now, in our map, nothing is available, guys. In the map, currently map is empty. Currently our map is empty. db.put of id comma object. Now you see in a map, ticket ID 15 is available. Ticket object is available. F8. Now with this, we are able to book one ticket. I got the response. My ticket number is 15. My ticket status is confirmed. So I'm able to book the ticket. Let me book the ticket one more time. Let me give some different name. This time from Hyderabad to Chennai. Date I'm going to change. Month I will change. Some 3, 2, something like this. Click on execute. Again, request came to our REST controller. I'm sending the JSON data. the JSON data is mapped to our Java object. Go inside this method. Ticket booking is happening. Next int. What is the ticket ID which is coming now? Again, we are getting the 15. It's wrong. It will override the value, guys. db.put. Now, why it is giving 15 every time? Random next int maximum is equal to minimum, something like this. Random is equal to new random dot next int of some 5 plus some 3, or okay, let's check it once. We need to get a unique random number, guys. Otherwise, if you get the same number, key will be duplicate. It is going to override that value. I should not get the duplicate key. Click on execute. First time, let me check the random number. I got 3 as a random number. Done. Now book once again. Yes. Now we are getting the random numbers. We are booking 2 tickets now. Let's go to tickets here. Click on try it out. Execute. So we booked 2 tickets. One ticket is having ID as 1. Another ticket having ID as 3. Let me book once again. Click on execute. One more ticket I am booking. Let us see the random number. Ticket ID F6. Now this time ID we are getting as a 4. Okay, F8. So with this we are able to book 3 tickets, guys. How to check all the tickets? Send a get request. Go here, try it out, execute. Now how many tickets we are getting in the JSON? Ticket 1, ticket 2, ticket 3. Total there are 3 tickets available. All the 3 tickets we are getting in the JSON format. Perfect. So with this our REST API is ready. We have our REST API ready. Currently our REST API is running in our local system. My REST API running in the local system. I want to run this REST API in the cloud platform so that you can access my REST API. So this REST API contains currently 2 functionalities, guys. One is post request method is available with the slash ticket. Another one is get ticket method is available with the slash tickets. Post method is used to book the ticket. Get method is used to get the tickets. Now, so our REST API is ready. So the people who want to access my REST API, they will go through my Swagger documentation. They will understand behavior of our REST API. So what is our REST API? What is the URL of the REST API? How many methods available in the REST API? They map it to which HTTP request. What is input in the post request? What is request? What is response? What is request structure? What is response structure? They will understand by using my Swagger. Okay, now I will deploy this application in the AWS cloud and I will give my application URL for you. Once our application is available in the cloud, anybody can access my REST API. I want to make it as a public REST API. Are you able to follow me? Now, so let us see. Let me log in into AWS cloud. Got logged out. Yesterday I gave the video. Did you try creating account in the AWS cloud and creating a Linux machine in the AWS cloud? Right. Now go to EC2. I'm going to create one machine, guys. This is SVMS VM. One Linux machine I'm going to create. to deploy my application. Launch this machine. Go to this machine. Let me connect with this machine by using mobile extreme software. Yes, I connected to this Linux machine. Currently, in this Linux machine, Java is not available to run our Spring Boot application. Let me install Java. Yes, it will install Java in this machine. Meanwhile, we need to package our application as a jar file. Okay, let us package our application as a jar, run as maven build clean package. Before going to do the package, go to pom.xml, change the final name, jar file name. I want to get the final name as irctc-api. So irctc API jar file will be created. Run as maven build. I want to build this project as jar clean package. Yeah, project is getting packaged. We will get the jar. That jar I will run in the Linux machine. My build got success. You can refresh. You can see that in the target we are having irctc API jar file. So go to this machine and check this workspace irctc target jar file is ready. My project is packaged as a jar. Now go to our Linux machine. Java is installed. You can verify Java space hyphen version. Java version 21 installed in our system. Let me upload jar file into my machine. Let me upload the jar into our machine. irctc jar file. Once the jar is uploaded, I will run this jar file by using java-jar command. Okay, so my jar is available ls-l. I will run this jar file java space -jar space jar file. It will run with the port number 8080. Now we can access our application by using its public IP address. Now it's getting started. Take this machine public IP colon 8080 slash swagger hyphen UI.html. Now my application is live. Anybody can access my application. So my provider is up and running in the AWS cloud platform. So online students, you can hit this URL. I'm sharing this URL in the chat box. Our application is running in the AWS cloud. Okay. Offline students, you can access this API in your mobile. This is the URL of our API. Our IRCTC API available in cloud platform. Its IP 43.205.144.253:8080 slash swagger -ui slash index.html. With this, you will be able to access our application. So it is provider application. Any UI is available, only backend logic is available. To book the ticket, get the ticket. JSON is input, JSON is output. It is a pure microservice application, pure REST API, which will take JSON as the input, which will give JSON as the output. Now, anybody can access this REST API. Python people can access this REST API. Angular people can access, React people can access, .NET people can access, Java people also can access that because it is distributed application with interoperability. How can you say it is an interoperable application now? It is taking JSON data, it is giving JSON data. Any programming language application can access our IRCTC now. With this, we are able to understand provider development. We created one application which is providing the services to other application. Now, Make My Trip people want to book a ticket. Make My Trip people will send passenger data to IRCTC. IRCTC will send ticket data to the Make My Trip. So IRCTC providing services to other applications. That's why this IRCTC application we are calling as a provider application. Are you clear? Able to access in the mobile? Yes, very good. Online students, are you able to access this URL? Which is having, now see, anybody booked the ticket already? Online students, try it out, execute. Now, you see here guys, already some tickets they have booked. So online people tested this application by using Swagger documentation. How I know that there are some tickets already booked by online people? There is a REST API method / tickets method is available. When I click on this one and execute it, now you see already some tickets booked 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Some names are coming here. Okay, so already there are 5 tickets available. Already there are 5 tickets available. They are booking the tickets now. We are getting the response here. Got my point? Yes, good. Now, so with this we understood how to develop our provider, how to develop our provider and how to deploy our provider URL. We created our provider and our provider is running in the AWS cloud platform. Now, anybody can access my provider. So before going to understand second part of the movie, consumer development, do you have any questions on the provider? What is the provider? What is provider, guys? The application which is providing the services to other applications is called as a provider application. Now, we developed our provider which is having one REST controller with 2 methods: book ticket, get tickets. Book ticket is a post method, get ticket is a book ticket is a post method, get ticket is a get method. Book ticket method taking passenger data as a input, giving ticket data as a output. Okay, now let's check it once again. Tickets, execute 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So guys, why we are getting only 4 tickets here? Huh? The problem is in our code, I have given the limit for the ID as 5 only. So always it will generate the number from 0 to 5. Key will become duplicate. When the key is a duplicate in the map, what will happen? It will override the value. So if you don't want only 5, then you can give 500. It will take any number from 0 to 500 as a ID. As I have given next int of 5, it will give random ID always below 5 only. When multiple people trying, they will get the same ID and it will override the ticket. It is over. Don't get surprised. Sir, my ticket is not available. So it is overriding. Good. Your, if your ticket is not available, that means it is overriding that. Key is becoming duplicate and that is going to override. It is basically map concept. Map is used to store the data in the form of key and value. In the map, always keys should be unique. But in our application, what happening? Keys are becoming duplicate. When the key is a duplicate, it is going to override the value. So if you don't want that, you can make your ID as some 5,000 something like that. Always it will give you unique ID for you. Perfect. What is this bean utils, guys? What is this bean utils? Copy the properties from one object to another. I am having the data in the form of a passenger object. Whatever the data is available in the passenger object, I want to copy the data into ticket object. When two classes variables are same, then one object data can be copied into another object by using bean utils dot copy properties. Perfect. Now, how I have deployed this application in the AWS cloud. Some people may get confused. Sir, how you deployed your application to AWS cloud? For this one, you need to have some knowledge on the AWS and Linux, guys. If you have some knowledge on the AWS and Linux, then you will understand how I have deployed this application. So what I have done in order to deploy this application in the AWS. The first step, login into AWS cloud account. You should create one account in the AWS cloud. Then you need to log in into your AWS cloud account. Then create Linux VM in AWS cloud using EC2 service. In the AWS, to create virtual machines, there is a service called EC2 service is available. By using that, I created one virtual machine. Then connect with a Linux VM using Mobile Extreme. Mobile Extreme is a software which is used to connect from Windows machine to Linux machine. Connect with Linux VM using Mobile Extreme. Then upload our API jar file. So how to upload that API jar file? Here there is a upload option is available. So from the Windows, I uploaded my jar file to the Linux machine by using this upload option. After uploading the jar file, install Java software. Install Java in the Linux VM. What is the command for that? Sudo yum install Java. Once the Java got installed, run jar file. Run jar file. Okay. How do we run the jar file in the Linux VM? Java space -jar space jar file. Okay. But here guys, I am not using just this command to run the jar file. If you see, I am using no hoop and here. What is the reason? If I close this mobile extreme also, still my application will be running. If you run like this, if you close mobile extreme, your application will be stopped. So that's why I'm using no hoop and here I'm giving and. So if you run like this, after closing the mobile extreme also, application will be running in the background. So you people can access even after the class also. That is the reason I'm using no hoop command. Then once it is done, access our application documentation. Access our application documentation like below. So here the URL will be like this guys. http colon / public IP colon 8080 / swagger -ui / index.html. So this is my provider URL. Whatever the provider I developed, this is my provider URL. Okay. So you can access my provider URL for testing purpose. If you are having some knowledge on the Linux, then you can develop this application. You can deploy this application in the AWS cloud. Deploying provider API. Deploying provider API in the AWS cloud. Guys, it's not important to understand AWS deployment here because we are not learning AWS now. We are learning Spring Boot REST API development. If you are not able to deploy in the AWS cloud, leave it. Leave it. It's not important now. What is important? Whether you are able to develop this REST API or not, whether you are able to access your REST API by using Swagger or not. That is important part. Got it? Yes. If anybody want to know this also, you can give a try. If you have time, if you are interested to learn, then you can spend 1 or 2 hours of time to understand this process. How to deploy this provider in the AWS cloud. So for that also, I have given videos in the YouTube channel. In Ashok IT YouTube channel, that video also available. How to deploy Spring Boot application in the AWS cloud. First thing, you need to create account in the AWS cloud. Yesterday already I have given that video, AWS Ashok IT. So if you see, I have given one video how to create account in the AWS cloud. Within 2 minutes you can understand how to create account in the AWS cloud. And I have given another video here how to create virtual machine in the AWS cloud. How to here 1 minute. There is a video how to create virtual machine in the AWS cloud. How to connect with that machine by using Putty or by using mobile extram. And I have given another video Spring Boot Ashok AWS Spring Boot application deployment in the AWS cloud. I explained. Now see this video. 1 year back I uploaded that video. Spring Boot application deployment in the AWS cloud. Within 20 minutes I explained. So in this video, what I have done, same process. What I have done in the class today, same thing I have explained in that video also. So here, how to deploy boot application in the AWS cloud. I will log in into AWS cloud account. I will log in into AWS cloud account. Once we log in into AWS, here I'm creating the project also. Then I'm creating one Linux machine in the AWS cloud. Then I'm connecting to that Linux machine. Once we connected to the Linux machine, I'm going to package my application. After packaging this application, jar file will be available. That jar file I'm going to upload in the Linux machine. After uploading the jar file, I'm going to run that jar file. Okay, then my application will be deployed in the cloud. After deployment, we need to enable some port number. Once we enable that port number, we will be able to access our application. If you are interested to learn, you can refer this video. How to do cloud deployment for our boot application, guys. Login into AWS cloud account, create Linux VM, connect with that Linux VM, upload API jar, install Java in the Linux, run your jar file, then access your application. Reference. If you want to learn, this is the reference video. Okay. But that's not mandatory for this class. Deploying in the AWS. You can use my provider. I have deployed my provider in the cloud. That provider is public. Anybody can access my provider now. Good. So with this we understood what is our provider, how to develop the provider, how to test the provider, how to deploy the provider for the public access. Now what we need to learn? Now what we need to learn? We need to learn consumer development. What is the meaning of consumer? Now we need to develop one web application. Make My Trip application I need to develop. What functionality will be there in the Make My Trip? Logic to access IRCTC application. We need to develop Make My Trip application. This Make My Trip application will have user interface to capture passenger data. After capturing the passenger data, it will send the passenger data to IRCTC. What IRCTC will do? It will give ticket data as a response. That's it. Good. Provider development. Two operations. Develop IRCTC API. Develop IRCTC API to book train tickets for passengers. Okay. We need to have below two functionalities in IRCTC API. We need to have below two functionalities in IRCTC API. One is booking the ticket, another one is getting the ticket. For this input output, for this only output. What is the first step? Identify request binding class. Identify response binding class. Then what is our step 3? What is our step 3? Create create boot application with required classes. What are the classes I have created? One is passenger.java. Another one is ticket.java. Another one is ticket service.java. Another one ticket service impl.java. Another one ticket rest controller.java. Ticket rest controller.java. Okay. Run this application, test it by using Swagger. Step 4. Run the application and test it using Swagger UI. Once it is done, you can deploy the application in the cloud. I have given one reference video also to deploy in the AWS cloud. If you are not able to deploy in the AWS, leave it. That's not important. You can run in the local also. But if you want to try, these are the steps and this is the video I have given. My provider URL. Okay. So my provider is running in the cloud. This is the URL to access my provider. So with this we understood what is provider. REST API provider development, which is taking JSON as a input, which is giving JSON as a output. In the tomorrow session, we will understand consumer development. So provider is ready, which is running in the cloud platform. Anybody can access our provider, which is taking request in the JSON, which is giving response in the JSON. Can I say my IRCTC provider is distributed application? Can I say it is a distributed application? Can I say it is interoperable application? Why it is interoperable? Is it specific to any language now? Any language can communicate with the IRCTC application. Any language application can communicate with IRCTC application. Java application can communicate. Python can communicate. .NET can communicate. Angular also can communicate. Angular application also can communicate with our application now. Is this clear? Good. Any questions, anyone? Let me upload these notes. So today, all of you should practice this provider development, guys. Whatever I have done in the class, you need to develop same thing in your system. It's not like I'm going to give the code so that you will refer that. You whatever I have done in the class from the scratch in front of you, I have done everything. You should be able to do the same thing on your own. If you can develop this REST API on your own, that means you are understanding microservices. Okay. Without UI, we are developing the project. So it is a pure microservice application. So tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we will understand consumer development. So in 2 days, tomorrow I will give introduction for consumer. We will start the consumer development tomorrow. Once you know consumer development, then we are good with the REST API. For JRTP people, REST API notes, I'm updating in the same file every day. Don't say that, sir, daily notes is not uploading. So if you go to JRTP course, here REST API notes is available. If you click on the download, till today, the complete notes is available. Today's concept is also available. IRCTC API development, request response, deployment in the cloud. This is my provider URL. You can use this provider for testing. Good. Online students, any questions, anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ashok.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
Yeah, when we discussed the theory part in notes, so you said get ticket input is not applicable. Can you explain that? Yeah, here. Yes.
Get tickets. Now, when consumer is accessing the tickets, consumer need to
Yeah.
send any input for that method or no need to send any input for that method?
Mm.
Input is not required for that method. Na? I just want to get all the tickets available in the system. So am I passing any ID as a input for this one? Any data as a input for this
No.
one? No. I'm just sending empty get request so that I'm getting the data. But when I'm sending a post request, I'm sending passenger data as an input and I'm getting ticket data as an output. But for the second method, input is not required. Only output it is giving. That is the meaning of that.
Sir,
Yes.
hello.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
Sir, why are we doing jar files? Like we can only do jar files when we are deploying it on AWS or WAR also?
No, sir. In general, guys, there is a big confusion for all the Java developers. When we are learning, listen carefully. When we are learning core Java and advanced Java, faculties will explain standalone application will be packaged as a jar file, web application will be packaged as a WAR file. But the definition will change when it comes to the Spring Boot. The reason, any Java application which is running from the main method can be packaged as a jar file. Any application which is running without main method, that is web application which is running in the server without main method, will be packaged as a WAR file. But that will not work out when it comes to the Spring Boot, because in the Spring Boot every project will run from the main method, whether it is a standalone application or whether it is a web application. That's why Spring Boot applications will be packaged as a jar format. Whether it, some people will ask a question, Ashok, you have developed a web application in the Spring Boot now, why are you packaging as a jar? The concept is Spring Boot is running from the main method. Any project which is running from the main method will be packaged as a jar file. You got my point? So here I want to run my boot application in the another system. If I want to run in the same system, I will go to my IDE. I will right click on this project. I will run as boot application. That's okay because I have IDE. I can run it. But in the Linux machine, my IDE is not available. My code is not available. That's why I am packaging my project as a jar in this system. This jar I am uploading in the Linux. In the Linux, I am running the jar directly so that my project will be executed in the Linux machine. You got it? Yep.
Sir, this is Shankar here. Sir, before this microservices, I mean, how the applications were used to access through web browsers, sir?
This microservices concept, this REST APIs concept became famous in the market from last 7 to 8 years only, guys. Before that, there is no concept of this one. Everybody used to develop the logic with a monolithic architecture. Everything will be available in one project only. From last 10 years, these web services and microservices, distributed applications became famous in the market. Yep. And this REST API became famous from last 7 to 8 years. Before the REST API, people used it to work with SOAP web services. Everything will be in the form of XML. Now everything is in the form of REST API with JSON data. This is the latest in the market.
Okay, sir. In those two methods, we don't need to write consumes and produces, or
If
is
you
it?
don't write by default, it will consider the default values. If you want to write, you can do that also. Here, I am not writing the consumes and produces. If you want, we can write that also. Even if I don't write, there is no problem here. Now, by default, if you don't write, it will take value. If you are taking object as a parameter, it will consider that as a JSON by default. Consumes is equal to, you can specify application slash JSON.
JSON.
So here produces, here consumes is available as well as produces also available. It is taking passenger data in the JSON format. It is producing ticket data in the JSON format. When it comes to this get method, is there any consumes available? Is it consuming anything? Is there any input for this method? No. What is available? Only output. So what we need to specify? We will specify produces is equal to application slash JSON.
Okay, okay.
That's it.
And one more question, sir. Like,
Yeah.
what is the difference between the list of object and collection object?
Collection is a super interface for the list, madam. List is extending the properties from the collection. That's it. There is no
That's it.
difference. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
You can return array list or linked list, anything.
oh, okay. Thank you.
Hi, sir. Ashok here.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, REST API normally we can create as well as with the help of microservices also, right?
Sir, let me confirm. Sir, what is the difference between REST API and microservice?
Yes.
Who is asking this question? What's your name?
Ashok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, microservice is nothing but REST API only.
Mhm.
Every REST API we can call as a microservice.
Okay.
Microservice nothing but a small service which will contain limited functionality. REST API. So tomorrow, mostly in the next week, when we are going to develop microservices, what is the meaning of microservices development? Small REST APIs we are going to develop. Collection of REST APIs is called microservices project. That's it.
Yes.
There is no difference.
Now it is a RESTful web service, right, sir? Earlier it was.
Sir, you can call it as a web service. You can call it as a RESTful service. You can call it as a REST API. You can call it as a RESTful web service. You can call it as a microservice. 5 names you can use for that. People will use according to their convenience. I will call it as REST API. Somebody may call it is a RESTful web service. Somebody may call it as microservice. Names are different, but the meaning is same.
Okay, so same thing earlier we used to achieve using SOAP. Now we are doing with REST.
Correct.
Sir, DevOps, Kubernetes, Docker. When do we have to learn anything, any basic stuff, sir?
Yeah, in the JRTP, I will explain that Docker, Kubernetes, sir. In the Spring Boot, it is not going to be covered. In the JRTP, the tools will be covered.
Sir, tomorrow when we develop this consumer APIs, like, so are we going to use REST template for the communication or Kafka, something like that?
No, sir. Consumer can be developed in 3 ways. That is tomorrow's discussion.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello,
what
sir.
can you select
Hello, sir.
package
tell
name
me.
as binding model?
I have one question.
DTO?
Online people are getting these many doubts. Why offline people are not getting any doubt? That means you are not listening properly.
Sir,
Yes,
one
sir. Tell
question.
me.
Ashok,
Hello, sir.
Ashok, sir.
Yes.
May I know any advanced Java batch starting soon, something like that?
Sir, please
I have
check
some
our
copy.
website, sir. In the
Okay,
training
okay.
schedule here, the batches are available. Okay.
Hello, sir. One question. So
Hello,
the
sir.
package name. Hello.
Yes,
The
tell me.
package name, sometimes you keep binding, sometimes model, sometimes I see
Anything is fine,
DTO.
sir. Anything is fine. You can keep it as a request package, binding package, model package, DTO package, anything you can use, no problem.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hello,
Hi,
sir.
Ashok, sir.
I have one question, sir. Hello, sir.
Please tell me one by one.
Sir,
Yeah.
how can decided that, sir, how many classes is needed for the particular project? How
That
to
you
decide
need to
that, sir?
analyze, sir. So there is no shortcut to that. Based on the experience, you will understand that.
Hi, Ashok, sir. Prasad here.
Yes, sir.
Sir, if we deploy our application in AWS, then if a number of requests are maximum, is AWS is paying charge for that?
No. In the AWS charges, how charges will be applicable, we'll discuss that. So I will conduct one workshop on that. So if you send 1,000 requests, charges will not be applied, right?
Okay,
So it's
okay.
not based on the number of requests.
Okay.
It's based
Or-
on type of the machine you are using. Currently, I have created a T2 micro machine. That machine is free. For that, charges will not be available.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
GitHub URL you
Sir,
are
on
going to.
Sunday, do we have JRTB on Sunday?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hi,
Sir,
Ashok.
Hello.
sir, beans.copy properties you told no, sir.
Correct.
It is particular for Spring Boot or it will work for?
No, sir. Any project. It is Spring Boot class. Bean utils is a predefined class in the Spring Boot, which
Okay.
is used to copy the data from one object to another object.
But the objects are not same, no, sir.
Objects are not same. Variables are same in the both classes. Whichever the variables are same, those variables will be copied from one object to another object. If you see in the passenger and the ticket, all the variables are same except ID and status. So apart from those two, the remaining variables will be copied.
Sir, it is like spread operator.
Sorry.
a spread operator in JavaScript.
I don't know that.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello,
sir.
sir.
Like,
Vera here, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Hmm.
Sir, some projects are using DTO class, sir. Why are you using
Sir,
DTO class?
DTO, Vivo, model, binding, Pojo, these all are for same purpose. You can keep any name for the package. I have kept the package as bindings, right? You
Okay.
can keep as DTO, you can keep as Vivo, you can keep as request, response, binding, anything. The purpose is I want to represent my JSON data in the object format. That's it.
But Ashok, actually, when you say like that, we are in a real time, actually, we are taking entity classes separate and DTO classes separate, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And
Because
also,
in the
Ashok, I have
real
one
time,
question. Like,
in the real time,
yeah.
we need to follow a concept called single responsibility principle. Solid oops principles we are going to follow. So every class should be responsible for only one action.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And Ashok, I have another question. Like, you have for this application, we have this passenger and ticket information variables. I mean, classes seems to be same, the variables, but in the real time scenario, which might they might be different, right?
Correct.
In that scenario, what we should do, like,
we will discuss that, sir. Today's class is not related to all. Any questions you have on the provider development, you ask me those questions today. Okay.
Sure.
All the
Okay.
best practices that we will
AWS
discuss in the upcoming classes.
Sure, Ashok. Yeah, thanks.
Sir, you told that Linux AWS that virtual machine free tier you use, right? That is free, but actually 1 year extended expire. Still,
You
I
need
can
to
use that
create
virtual.
no. You need to create the new account, sir.
Okay, new account need to create. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, in Spring Boot,
Nice.
it's automatically converting the object, sorry, JSON into your object, right?
Correct.
Like how it is internally converting, like where I could see those
That is a
code.
predefined logic happening in the Spring Boot. Dispatcher servlet will do that. It is pre-processing logic. It will use a Jackson API internally to do that conversion.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever you send the request in the JSON, that JSON data, it is reading by using request body annotation and it will map to your Java object. That is internal logic in the Spring Boot.
Okay.
Good, guys. Fine. Fine, guys. Good. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for today. We'll meet in the tomorrow session. Today, everybody should be able to create that IRCTC API and test it by using Swagger. If you are interested to learn the cloud deployment, I have given the video. Please go through that and try to deploy in the cloud also. If you are not able to deploy, leave it. No problem. So already I have given my API URL. Tomorrow we will understand what is a consumer, how to develop consumer. Basically, we will develop a make my trip application to communicate with the IRCTC API. Tomorrow and Sunday also we have a class because from next Monday I will not be available. So this Sunday also I will take the session. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we will complete our make my trip project consumer development. Good. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.